Kansas Ag Report. I'm Ken Rogers. It's State Fair time in Kansas. We'll be joined shortly by Bryan Schulz, General Manager of the Kansas State Fair, to get the rundown of all the things going on during the 10-day run in Hutchinson. We'll also have features from Kansas Corn, Kansas Wheat, and the Kansas Farm Bureau, along with a weekly update from the Kansas Livestock Association and market information from Pinion. Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. Kansas Farm Bureau, a grassroots ag organization representing the state's farm and ranch families since 1919, kfb.org. And the Kansas Wheat Commission, lending in the adoption of profitable innovations from wheat, online at kswheat.com. In agricultural news, former U.S. Secretary of Agriculture and U.S. Senator Mike Johanns highlights a packed agenda for the first ever Henry C. Gardner Global Food Systems Conference taking place October 7th in Manhattan. It's a half-day event open to public, celebrate the 10th year of one of K-State's most popular lecture series, also named after the late Kansas rancher Henry C. Gardner of Ashland. Registration for the conference is now open, no cost to attend, but if you are interested, you need to register in advance. Mark Gardner, the son of Henry, helps run the family-owned ranch now, says the lecture series was established to facilitate an in-depth discussion of the world's food challenges. Johanns was Ag Secretary from 2004 to 2007, and then a senator from Nebraska from 2009 to 2015. He kicks off an afternoon program with the talk, Fair Trade, a Pathway to Ensure Access to Affordable Food. Find more information or register for the conference by searching for the Henry C. Gardner Global Food System Conference on the kstate.edu website. Well, Farm Credit System institutions made almost 133,000 loans to young, beginning, and small U.S. producers in 2023. They're delivering on their critical mission to support rural communities and agriculture. A new Farm Credit Administration report underscores Farm Credit's commitment to the next generation of agriculture producers through some strategic lending and support initiatives. Todd Van Hoos, President and CEO of the Farm Credit Council, said supporting young, beginning, and small farmers is central to Farm Credit's mission and vital to the future of American agriculture. He says as the farm economy became even more difficult in 2023, Farm Credit had nearly $113 billion in new loans for young, beginning, or small U.S. producers. Now, for example, in 2023, the Farm Credit institutions made over 47,000 loans totaling $11.7 billion to young producers 35 years or younger, almost 66,000 loans to producers with 10 years or less experience. That totaled $18.1 billion. Well, sorghum is an ancient grain that holds a lot of potential. Nate Bloom, CEO of Sorghum United, said, "We see sorghum so much more than just another crop. Rising interest in sorghum being driven largely by its sustainability to hotter, drier growing conditions, which makes it a climate-smart crop. As weather patterns continue to grow more unpredictable, many farmers appear to be turning to the sturdy, drought-resistant sorghum to stabilize and boost yields. Sorghum," he says, actively replenishes the soil and environmental capital. It requires few external inputs and fixes soil nitrogen and helps prevent erosion. Now, just beyond that, sorghum also holds emerging market opportunities. As the gluten-free trend continues growing, demand for specialty products also on the rise. This grain can be milled into gluten-free flour, popped like corn, or turned into syrups, and edible oils, even brewed for beer, and many of us use it for cattle feed. Well, that's news. Back with more in just a moment. The Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by Kansas Grain Sorghum, growers working together. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org. Grass and Grain, online or in the mail, keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. grassandgrain.com. Hey, joining us now is Bryan Schulz, who is the general manager of the Kansas State Fair. It is fair time. Bryan, where does the time go?
I know we're just we're sitting here going, wow, last time I looked at the calendar, we had over 100 days left, and now we're just down to single digits.
Right. So the fair will get underway later on this coming week. I know people are probably already lined up, ready to get things underway, ready for another big run. And it's what I'm seeing is you've got things looking good. You're ready to welcome a lot of folks to Hutch.
Most definitely. Yes. The vendors have started moving in. We've got a lot of displays already set up. Starting right after Labor Day, we will have all the indoor vendors loading in. So yeah, it's just like boom like that, and it's all ready to go.
All right, let's talk about what maybe somebody really wants to go and see at the fair. Of course, livestock shows, 4-H, FFA exhibits, open class from all the counties that bring together. But this first weekend, a lot of youth shows. That very popular Grand Drive. What an emotional time, but also it should fill every Kansan with pride to watch those young folks.
Absolutely. And you know what? This is our 25th anniversary of the Grand Drive. And, I think everybody is really excited about all the great things that have gone over the last 25 years. We have the Peterson Farm Brothers coming in to do a free concert on Saturday night. We've got our gala. We've got, and the kids, they're just, so excited. I had the ability to read some of the scholarship applications, and you know what? Darn it, these are pretty intelligent children, kids, not children,
Right.
kids that they're looking at their future, and they're seeing that agriculture is a key priority, and want to make sure that staying in Kansas is a big part of it too. So really, really excited about seeing a lot of those kids out there in the show arena.
Into the next weekend and kind of into that week, a lot of the open class shows, always a big event. And Bryan, you and the fair board have done a great job as far as to keep the facilities up. Animal comfort is one of the keys to whatever species, and so hats off to you all.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, we couldn't have done it without the legislature backing us on a lot of this stuff. So we thank you and the rest of the legislature as well for helping us do that. But yeah, creature comfort is big. Showing an animal is not a cheap experience, so we want to make sure that when they are here, that everyone is comfortable from the animal all the way up to the people that are out there working and showing.
All right, so we're going to take a break here, talk about some of the big concerts. You've got some big names coming to Hutch, as well as other maybe new things that are going on and more partnerships that are happening. We'll do that in just a moment. Bryan Schulz, general manager of the Kansas State Fair, is joining us. Back with more in just a moment. Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by the Kansas Livestock Association, supporting members' business interests and meeting consumer demands. KLA.org. Oldie Seed Farms, carrying soil-specific seed. Find them on the web at oldieseed.com. That's OHLDE seed.com. And Kansas Corn, building the future at kansascorn.com. And our guest is Bryan Schulz. It is fair time. The Kansas State Fair just going to get underway the end of next week in Hutchinson. Bryan, you can't put on a fair without a lot of help, whether it be corporate sponsors, whether it be a lot of volunteers. And that's the one thing the city of Hutchinson does. They always come out in full droves and want to put on a great show, not only for their communities, folks come in, but also that people have a good experience there at the fair.
Most definitely. We have got a great group of people, from our board of directors to our superintendents to our volunteers. On average, it takes about 600 volunteers in addition to our staff to make sure that the Kansas State Fair goes off without, well, a semi hitch. But you know how that goes.
Sure.
But yeah, and our community always steps up. The city of Hutch helps us out with a lot of things. So we couldn't do it without everybody's help.
Let's talk about the Fair Foundation. They're kind of a different arm, but they help support the efforts that you all are doing, and they had a big task. There's a new building on the grounds that folks will find.
Most definitely. If you're familiar with the Kansas State Fairgrounds, just to the east of the Domestic Arts used to be our old Fine Arts building. Last year, right after fair, the foundation had it tore down, and now we have the brand new 1861 club, and it will be everybody's going to want to go in there and get out of the sun and maybe have their favorite beverage and some food and great entertainment that's going to be in there. But it's also an opportunity for year-round events like weddings and quinceañeras and corporate meetings and stuff like that. Just another opportunity for here at the Kansas State Fairgrounds.
And you also really worked hard to get some good entertainment in the grandstands. What are some names that maybe we haven't had some names like this for a while?
Yeah, and our ticket sales are showing that too. We have a first night Winona Judd with Kimberly Perry. We have the Goo Goo Dolls. On Sunday, we do our whole Hispanic Latino Day. So that goes from 3 o'clock until about 10 o'clock with a variety of mariachi bands and dancers and Oscar Garcia, who's one of our locals here that does a DJ. Monday nights are Demolition Derby. Tuesday, everybody loves Taylor Swift and all of her stuff. We've got the Let's Sing Taylor, a live band experience. This young lady that does Taylor Swift music is phenomenal. Wednesdays are Christian night with Casting Crowns and Katie Nicole. We've got Broadway's Rock of Ages band. This is a group that was on Broadway in New York. They do a phenomenal job. It's going to be great to see that. Friday night, we have Pop Evil with Diamante. Saturday night is going to be a humongous concert for us. We have Riley Green with Ella Langley. And then to close out the Kansas State Fair, we've got the Oak Ridge Boys, and tickets are going through the roof for that one. Riley Green, all of them are doing really, really well. So if you haven't gotten your tickets yet, make sure you get out there and get them purchased.
All right, Brian, again, a couple things. Oh, anything new on a stick this year?
We've got some really kind of fun things. We've got a summer or a brisket sausage with burnt ends on it at Carrie's Beer Garden. Charlie's Wine Garden has got taco sliders. We've got and Dusix, they're doing a s'mores quesadilla, which I've seen it, and a friend of mine has tasted it, and they said they were phenomenal. Brackett's Concessions is doing a pretzel wrapped pickle. Okay. And from what we have heard, that is going to be pretty awesome. And then there's some grilled cheese slammers that are going to be out there with barbecued pork, macaroni and cheese, and fried pickles served on Texas toast. And so I'm getting kind of hungry talking about all this fair food and pronto pups and all that great stuff that's going to be here at the Kansas State Fair again this year.
All right, now folks can get some discounted tickets, and also with some technology, there's a new app that'll make that experience even better.
Most definitely. Yes, if you haven't bought your tickets, get them early because as of September 5th, all the prices will go up. So you're saving quite a bit. We still do have some packages available. So if you want to do a senior pack, a couples pack, a kids pack, or a family pack, most of those include gate admission tickets, food, all that kind of stuff in there. So make sure that you get out to the kansasstatefair.com website and purchase them. And if you're a technology person, download the Kansas State Fair app. The neat thing about that, you type in the word Pronto Pup, it'll tell you exactly who sells them and how to get there from the location that you're at. Just technology is just bursting at its seams here at the Kansas State Fair.
All right, Brian. Well, we know you've got a busy schedule, so thanks for spending some time with us. We look forward to seeing a lot of folks at this year's Kansas State Fair. Good luck.
Well, thank you. I appreciate being on your show today. And remember, get out to kansasstatefair.com and check out all the great things that are happening here for the 10 days of fun here in Kansas.
Bryan Schulz, General Manager of the Kansas State Fair, has joined us. Let's take a break. We'll be back with more in just a moment.
Premier Farm and Home has what you need to make your lawn the best in the neighborhood.
Hi, I'm Ken. We choose Premier Farm and Home for the professional look that we do ourselves.
Feel free to stop in. You can also visit our website at heycow.com.
Well, after we get the crop planted and it germinates, plants start growing. Once they get up in the neighborhood of a foot to 18 inches tall, we'll start irrigating that crop. In our part of the world, we only get like 17 inches of rainfall a year, so non-irrigated is basically raising the corn on whatever moisture is received from rainfall from Mother Nature. Irrigated corn is that we're applying water that's pumped out of an aquifer. A pivot, we call them center pivots. It basically has a tripod in the center of the field, and it has a pipe that goes out to the edge of the field, and it travels in a circle around that center point. And they can be any size. One span is usually like 180 feet. Traditionally in southwest Kansas, we refer to them as a quarter-mile pivot, which would have about 122 acres under it. A half-mile pivot would be a half-mile long and would have about 480 acres under it. It has a mechanism in the sprinkler that causes it to move. We can set, if we want to apply an inch per acre per week, we can set a speed at the pivot, and it controls that sprinkler system to where it'll make a rotation in a certain amount of time. And so somebody is watching that on a daily basis to make sure that sprinkler is moving and it doesn't get stuck or it doesn't have a mechanical problem. And if it does, then then we fix that. Now we have some technology that through an app on our phones, we can look at it and it'll give us a warning, or it'll give us an alarm that tells us whether that sprinkler is stopped or not. We can fix that sprinkler. If it happens to be late at night and it's too dark to fix it that evening, we'll shut it off that evening, and then the next morning somebody will fix that sprinkler. So rather than sitting there in one spot and irrigating a spot that a lot more than it needs, we'll shut it off and fix it, and then start it again the next morning, so we can be a lot more efficient in our use of irrigation water. Well, deciding when to irrigate and how much water to apply is sometimes an art as much as it is science. And so we're continually evaluating the stage of growth of the plant that we're raising, the type of plant that we're raising. Some crops use more water than others. As technology has changed and improved, there's moisture probes that are buried out in the field. We're using that information to make more and better decisions on how much water is needed. Corn is more efficient in the amount of water that it uses. So again, that's one of the reasons we raise corn, is because we can get more bushels of grain out of the water that we're applying. Efficiency is of utmost importance in irrigation. Our main goal is what can we do to apply that resource in as most efficient manner as possible.
Imagine turning soybean oil, used cooking oils, and waste animal fats into fuel so amazing it drives U.S. jobs and our economy forward. Learn more about biodiesel at americasadvancedbiofuel.com.
The journey from a potential genetic cross to the latest released wheat variety requires years of testing by public and private wheat breeders. Researchers at Kansas State University's Wheat Quality Lab help streamline the wheat breeding process by ensuring only lines with acceptable or superior milling and baking performance become the varieties Kansas wheat producers plant and harvest. Aaron Harries, Vice President of Research and Operations for Kansas Wheat, said agronomic performance and end-use quality are both critically important when selecting wheat varieties for commercial production. Supported by the 2 penny per bushel wheat checkoff, the Kansas Wheat Quality Lab provides breeders, researchers, and producers with the information that they need to select which varieties to grow. Breeders like Gorong Zhang, K-State wheat breeder based in the K-State Agricultural Research Center in Hayes, creates about 800 new experimental lines each year. However, not all of these lines have acceptable flour and baking qualities. Quality is an important trait for breeders. We don't want to release a variety with poor quality, Zhang said. Thanks to the lab, they can evaluate all our advanced breeding lines. The Kansas Wheat Quality Lab annually tests 350 to 400 advanced lines from the K-State wheat breeding programs. It takes until year 5 in the breeding program to have enough seed to run preliminary quality tests like protein content and mixograph. In addition to experimental lines, the lab tests 30 to 40 samples each year as the final evaluation before they are released by public and private wheat breeders throughout the Great Plains. Learn more about the K-State Wheat Quality Lab at grains.kstate.edu/facilities/wheat quality lab.
Many seed companies claim to offer the latest genetics, but how many have tested those genetics in soils just like yours? The Oldie Seed Know to Grow research program has fully tested the latest seed genetics in soils that are right in your neighborhood. The Oldie Seed Know to Grow program can recommend the best performing hybrids from technologies like Enlist, Extend, and Liberty Link that will optimize the yield and profit of every acre on your farm. Contact Oldie Seed today.
Butler County Farm Bureau is the County Innovation Award winner in education. The county's event, Charcuterie with Chefs, focused on educating chefs in training at the Butler Community College Redler Culinary Institute about local foods, connecting them with farmers and ranchers and fostering an appreciation for the challenges faced by agricultural producers. In addition, the event aimed to promote culinary education, connect consumers with producers, and support Butler County Farm Bureau's Ag in the Classroom program, all while subtly introducing attendees to the mission and benefits of Kansas Farm Bureau. By utilizing the Culinary Institute and offering a class in charcuterie board preparation with local chefs, the county successfully attracted a different sector of the community, particularly those interested in the local farm-to-table movement. The inclusion of producers and the involvement of a local brewery and winery added layers of education and entertainment. The creative integration of agriculture in the culinary experience created a positive impact on consumers and potential associate members, further reinforcing the value of local producers. Congratulations to Butler County Farm Bureau for their efforts in reaching more educators, ultimately benefiting the next generation of chefs and ensuring they appreciate the hard work of Kansas farmers and ranchers.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com.
U.S. Senators Roger Marshall of Kansas and Michael Bennet from Colorado recently sent a letter urging U.S. Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack to modify USDA's drought mitigation programs to provide more sufficient resources for farmers and ranchers. The letter detailed testimony and recommendations given by Kansas and Colorado producers, water experts, and state officials during the June field hearing in Burlington, Colorado. The hearing focused on solving the unique challenges historic drought is creating for Western producers. According to Senator Marshall, through the field hearing and testimonies provided, they heard the problems and complications loud and clear. He said now it's time to focus on solutions. Senator Marshall said he hopes USDA will take the next steps and make improvements and investments to help Kansas and Colorado ranchers. Senator Marshall and Senator Bennet do recognize that these efforts will not solve all the water issues in the West, but note it's a good start. The letter specifically addressed multiple USDA programs that could be improved, including the Conservation Reserve Program, Conservation Reserve Enhancement Program, Environmental Quality Incentives Program, and Watershed and Flood Prevention Program. The letter also recommended increased investment in research and innovative approaches to water conservation, like the creation of a voluntary groundwater conservation pilot program mirrored after Bennett's Voluntary Groundwater Conservation Act.
Imagine turning soybean oil, used cooking oils, and waste animal fats into fuel so amazing it drives U.S. jobs and our economy forward. Learn more about biodiesel at americasadvancedbiofuel.com.
Good morning. This is Jacob Herzog with Pinion Risk Management. Many are watching the Pro Farmer Crop Tour and waiting for bullish news. The Pro Farmer Tour is estimating South Dakota average yield at 156.51 versus the USDA's current forecast of 162. The tour is estimating Ohio's corn yield at 183.29 versus the USDA's current 188. Now in Indiana, corn coming in at 187.54 versus the USDA's current forecast of 207. Nebraska was estimated at 173.25 versus the USDA's 194. Illinois is estimated at 204.14 versus the USDA's whopping 225. Now, Northwest Iowa coming in at 176.59, Central West at 195.86, and Southwest at 191.59. Now, the guys in the crop tour do a really great job, but obviously cannot cover the entire state when they roll through. It's a good initial look at something, but not necessarily something a guy should base his marketing on. Now, market participants put massive amounts of money on the line to predict the price, and they really do not do it lightly. There's still basis opportunities in the West, while basis in the East's river complex specifically have been collapsing under increased freight rates due to a low Mississippi River, old crops still coming to market, and a massive new crop coming online. I know at this point in the marketing year, it can feel like, well, I did what I did, and now it's all going into storage. And if that storage is commercial, I'd look to alternatives to physical ownership versus the cost of commercial storage and interest, especially since it appears that we're going into a high supply environment year nationwide. Now, if you would like to talk to anybody about a plan, you can reach us at 888-452-8751. I'm Jacob Herzog with Pinion Risk Management.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
That's our program this week. Thank you so much for joining us. Be social with us online, KansasAgReport.net, or our social media channels. Hope to see you at the Kansas State Fair. Have a great Labor Day, and we'll see you next week on the Kansas Ag Report.